about that, John?
About that, Nick. About last night.
How about that? Out last night? You were out last night?
No, about last night, the movie.
A boot last
About.
night. A boot.
Hey, have you seen
Yes.
the oh gosh, I got to think of the name of the movie now. It is A Crazy Stupid Love. I don't know what made it pop into my head,
so.
but it's Steve
Is that
Carell
the
and
one
it's
with
Gosling
Steve Carell?
and oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
I own that one.
it is.
Yep.
It's so funny, and I love how it all comes together at the end. But Gosling with Carell in the bar scene, it just kills me because he's the big geek, and they meet at the mall, and the first thing he does is slap him in the face and say, "You're dressed like something about like a mom or something." It was just awesome. Stretch pants and tennis shoes.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling he plays that straight man, the pseudo straight man, really, really well.
And
he is inherently funny.
Oh, for sure. And it was in that movie. He was he really danced around his role like there were two roles, and he did them really well, brilliantly. You wanted to go, what a prick, because he's going and these ladies all just head over heels fall in love. And remember when that happened to us? We'd go into a bar and just look at women, and they just fall
so often.
Right. And so, so we had a unique insight into that. But so that was great. But he was really
unique.
He was, liar. But he was great with Carell, who we learned to find out was Carell's daughter. I can't think of her name either, but she's wonderful.
I don't remember. I want to say Emma Stone, but
Emma Stone is correct. Nope. Emma Stone is correct. Okay. Yes, that's who it was. And she was great. She's very fun. They did the leap into his, where she leaps into his arms. Another movie. You own the damn movie. Watch it.
I'm getting a full recap here. I'm enjoying this, especially when you can't remember other movie names.
I know. That's the worst.
Because I'm usually the one on this end that can't remember anything.
I like to listen to PoddiMouths because I like to scream at the screen or to my headphones saying, "It's this, you dumbass!" And so it was Dirty Dancing. The Dirty Dancing.
The movie you're looking for is Dirty Dancing.
Yes. Yep. And but there's a backstory to it that she is terribly scared. She broke. It wasn't doing that, but it was another role, I think, where she broke both her arms doing a jump like that. So she was like freaked out to do it.
Oh, really?
So,
I've heard of this.
Kind of interesting. On the Graham Norton show, she talked a little bit about it, and it was Emma Stone is great. She's one of my favorites. Wow. Also a really
I love
good
Emma
actor.
Stone. She's one of my favorites.
Yep.
Yeah. Because she's one of those that can play dramatic, super good at comedy. I mean, she's just got that full range, and I'm a huge fan of Emma Stone.
Me too. She was great. Yeah. So we were starting out.
That was
talking
interesting because
I don't know where it came from.
we were gonna. I don't know. We do that on this podcast. John and I spend a good at least. I mean, it's so much time, at least 5 minutes before every episode, coming up with the topics for the day, and then we're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, and we start and we completely ignore what we just talked about.
My pen is out of ink just from writing all the notes, Nick, that we talked about.
That's why it's out of ink. Ink does dry up if you don't use the pen.
That sounds an awful lot like a sexual innuendo, and I'm going to ignore it.
So I just spent the entire week in Colorado with a bunch of my coworkers, and of course, you don't want HR called on you, so everything turns to an innuendo.
Yes,
and it's just kind of fun because you don't say necessarily things out loud, but your mind goes a million different places, and you're like, "Ooh, that would be a great PoddiMouths joke. Ooh, that would be a great PoddiMouths joke."
Exactly. The ink dries up if you don't use the pen. No shit. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Yes, sir. So we were talking,
since being in Colorado.
Yeah.
because we were talking, and this is my segue into that,
Yes.
because I'm about to talk about something a little political, and this does not necessarily fit my, if you were to pigeonhole me into one or the other, which we've often said I'm right down the middle. So
Mhm.
if you understand that I'm right down the middle, this is fitting. But if you actually listen to a lot of the things that you and I talk about, you'd think this is not in my wheelhouse. But having spent time in Colorado, and I didn't partake, but of,
Oh.
some people, not necessarily people in Colorado. Let me just put it this way: people in Colorado, it's legal for them to partake. So you're walking down the street and you're smelling it constantly, and that is marijuana. And I'm watching these people going, they're having so much fun. And you're at altitude, so drinking isn't as much fun necessarily as when you're at lower altitudes. So, you're watching these people getting high, being high, play on words there, and just having a blast. I'm like, I really want to do that, but I have a thing where I'm not going to try it until it's federally legal because I'm scared as shit about all of that. But I really wish they would make that legal on a federal level. I really do, because it's not hurting anyone. And it's, in fact, there's plenty of proof to show that it's helping people.
Wow. There's look after being diagnosed with cancer and going through the pain that was associated with it, with my particular kind, I was wide open to that for pain management, for that sort of thing. Recreationally, there is some data that's coming out now that says that there is an increased incidence of some undesirable outcomes, without going into great detail. So that's one thing, but it's no different from alcohol in that regard. Alcohol
Well, I
has,
was just,
I
and that
mean,
was the comparison
terrible
I was going to
outcomes.
make.
Oh my gosh! If
Yes.
you look at the data on alcohol, it's a glass of poison, and you can make a whole lot of
Yep.
arguments not to be doing it, and what it does to families, and it's just because it's so much more prevalent than marijuana, and so yeah, I don't feel strongly about it one way or the other. I should not be doing any of it, whether it's marijuana. Thankfully, I'm not in pain like I was before. But if it helps people with pain
Yeah.
medically and approved stuff, heck yeah, why not? There are dispensaries here in
Right.
Florida, and I don't think they're crazy busy or anything, but I think they're probably populated by older folks, mainly
Oh, I'm
because that's
sure.
who lives here. But older folks who are in pain,
Right.
and by all means, God bless you. If especially those who are terminal, seriously, you're coming up with rules that they can hammer down 5 martinis, but they can't smoke a joint. Come on, it's bullshit.
Right.
And so all of that stuff, I think you're right. We need to take a new look at on a federal level. But there are
Well,
so many
I
more
think,
fish to fry federally. Holy crap!
yeah.
They got
Oh,
so
yeah.
much
And I
crap they
think
need to
with
straighten
that,
out.
I think with when you're talking about marijuana, or things that are, I'm not going to say innocuous. That's a
Mhm.
poor use of words, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's like you pointed out, it's not as bad as alcohol in many respects. However, I think the biggest reason they haven't legalized it is the same reason we had, one of the reasons that we had prohibition, and what happened after prohibition, or the repeal of prohibition, which
Yeah.
we figured out how to tax it. So tax the hell out of it. I think anyone that really wants it is willing to pay the tax. We do that with alcohol. Smokers still do that with smoking. Just pay the tax, and
Yeah.
tax the hell out of it. And make it legal, because
I,
I
and
think
I and
that's
I
the
don't
best way
think
to do it.
that's the holdup. I think that's they're figuring out how they can benefit from it. The taxation. We're talking about increasing the debt ceiling again. Uh, Good
I know.
gracious, we are never going to see the other side of the debt ceiling, and I pray
I
that my
wish someone would
granddaughter
increase
will.
my
But
debt ceiling.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they can. Oh no, that would be illegal, sir. Can't do it for us, but the government. Oh yeah, we can
Oh
spend
yeah.
money we don't have, and yeah, just continue to do
Yep.
that, and then complain about it. And you look at some of these pet projects, and look, I've listened to some economists who say, these little projects that 5 million for this crap and 4 million for this, and it's like finding out if tadpoles like fish, stuff like that.
Yes.
Uh, this stuff, you might say, well, it speaks to my narrative, and it's crap, and those guys should all go to whatever. But in reality,
Yeah.
none of those things individually mean anything to the debt ceiling. They don't even begin to
Right.
scratch the surface. So if we got rid of all
Right.
that crappy spending, still wouldn't matter. On the other side of it,
It
though,
wouldn't end. No.
we could tax. Oh, the 1%. They need to pay more in tax, or the whatever it is, the top 25%. Let's say, don't just tax them. Take all of their money. Take everything they own, the top 25%, and it still will not get us out of debt. So,
Right.
these are all just talking points that are nothing but BS, and just tell the truth and start making some
Right.
steps toward moving in a better direction, because frankly, we're just paying too much in interest. We can never get our way out of it, ever.
No, no, that's exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's even on a personal level, you can't. I mean, once, especially with inflation, you can't. It's nearly impossible unless you go out and get onto one of those government programs.
Yeah.
I'm going back to what you were just mentioning about the,
Mm-hmm.
do frogs love fish or whatever it was, tadpoles love fish. Um, so you take the good, you take the bad. You have things like that, but those programs that are put in place are actually pretty ingenious, and there are some people that are capitalizing on that and getting absolutely loaded
Mm-hmm.
while actually giving back to society. So those programs, folks, if you're not familiar with them, you can actually, if you have an idea that will quote unquote help society, or something good like a piece of technology that you could create and that the government could market or utilize, you can actually get grants and to design, to test, to build, and to market those items, all backed by the government. Which in this particular case, when you're talking about research and development, that's actually not a bad deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a leg up, and then you already have a client built in. So, because the government then becomes your client, and then not only did they give you a whole bunch of money to seed it, but then they're starting to spend money with you, and then you can take that product and expand it. So, there's a lot more nuance to it. There's a lot more. There are a lot more details around that, but it is in essence a pretty decent program. The problem is you're going to have some people that are doing things like tadpoles and fishes versus someone who's building a security apparatus that can help protect the global internet system.
Yep.
So you have to be able to offer it to one that's actually going to make a difference. You have to offer it to everybody, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problem lies. We've
Mm-hmm.
got people that are just doing it for the money, and they're coming up with bullshit ideas, and they're just taking that money.
Well, and
That's my view.
no, you're right, and I think it's not just the people who are doing it to make the quick buck. It's the people who are trying to scam the system as well. There are,
Yes. Yep.
people who are not only those that say, "Well, I'm going to triple bill on something," or we saw that with COVID, especially how the COVID funds were just totally thrown away in so many criminal type processes,
Yeah.
which is terrible, but it happens all the time. And then you have the criminals who are trying to scam older people. We just had a thing at our church where the lead pastor's name is Rusty, and Rusty at the church's name, or dot the church's name at Gmail, and reaching out to, somehow got church members names and addresses, and was, we really need help for this thing, and some people are being scammed by it, and it's usually older folks who are
No.
sending money to this
Yep.
stuff under the umbrella of this church, that they love. So it's
Right.
just there are plenty of people out there who are really just evil, frankly, or think that, well, I'm basically a good person, but that stuff isn't going to save you in the end. So
Yeah.
it's just
Speaking
sad that there's that going on too. Yep.
Speaking of, do you watch the television show Ghosts on CBS?
No. Nope.
Okay. So I would highly recommend it. It's one
Mhm.
of those British show. It started out as a British show and then came over to the United States. And it has Rose McIver in it.
Oh yeah.
Who, if you ever watched iZombie, she was the main character in iZombie.
Mhm.
She also played Tinkerbell in that TV show that was all about all of the different Disney characters. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's really, really funny. It's been on for a few seasons, and I enjoy it. It's very corny, but it's really funny. It's uh, Rose McIver and her husband inherited a mansion, And when they first moved in, she fell down the flight of stairs and almost died. But now, because of that, she can actually see ghosts. So all the ghosts that were trapped in the house when they died are all there, and they communicate, and it's a comedy. And they communicate with each other. But the last episode, it was really funny because these are all ghosts that go way, way back. There's one ghost whose magical power is the ability to actually touch and move things. But it's really funny because one, he doesn't wear pants. Two, he has to use one finger, and it's like, so it'll take him an hour just to type one sentence, it's because he's got it. Yeah. So it's really comical. But in this last episode, that actually happened. One of the ghosts had an email set up because he wanted to get daily jokes from like Reader's Digest or something.
Yes.
And so they were checking the email, and there was an email that came in from a prince from Africa, and they're all older. They'd not email. This guy's from the 80s and died in the 80s. And so he's like, oh, we've got to help the prince. This is really important. We don't have any money. We're ghosts. Well, let's use, and I forgot, Samantha, that's the name of it. Let's use Sam's money. So, because they have access to her bank account. And yeah, it's a whole funny story. I would highly recommend, if you haven't watched Ghosts and you like stupid, funny things like that, watch it. Speaking of innuendos, a lot of innuendos. Like every time a ghost, I'm going to give it away, and forgive me for my language, folks, but every time a ghost, it's on primetime, so obviously it's not horrible. Every time a ghost actually leaves and goes to heaven, they call it getting sucked off because they're very old, so they have no idea what that means in modern vernacular. So he got sucked off. So it's little stupid things like that.
I love how you go, like, guessing whether our audience likes silly things like that. They're listening to PoddiMouths.
Good point. Very valid point.
There's that. Yeah. It sounds a lot like Beetlejuice, the whole thing around Beetlejuice, how that was all set up. Speaking of which, they're coming out with the Beetlejuice 2. Did you hear that?
Yes, they are.
What
I sent it to you. I'm the one who sent it. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of excited about it. I mean, I heard rumors because they were talking. It was after Wednesday Addams, or after Wednesday came out, because Jenna Ortega, yeah, she's going to be one of the characters in the new Beetlejuice. She's going to play Lydia's daughter.
Yeah, I saw it.
And so they were talking about that. Yeah, and so now there's actually confirmation in the news that they have greenlit Beetlejuice 2. Wow. I'm really excited, with most of the staff coming back, including Catherine O'Hara as Lydia's mom. Yep.
Who was spectacular in Schitt's Creek.
She was, and that was exactly what I was thinking. I really wanted to shout out David.
In fact,
even though that's David,
his sister.
Yeah.
That
I love Schitt's Creek.
Me too, and it's just it got a little odd at the end for me in the later episodes, but oh my gosh, Catherine O'Hara, holy cow, was she hilarious.
The whole cast.
And such, for sure. Yeah, not to diminish anybody else, but she just has that capacity. And like Leslie Nielsen played these serious roles and was really a good, B actor. And she, played a lot and can play those roles, but that's what makes her awesome in comedy. She's just amazing with a comedian. And she has that whole, like, she is this old time actress and she can pull this stuff off. And then she just pulls something out that is incredibly funny. So you gotta love her. She is amazing.
Yep. Yeah. But no matter how many things I see her in, because she is in a lot, she's always going to be Kevin McAllister's mom.
That's true. Yep. That's true.
Just that was her. All of her roles, I think, are semi-iconic, but that one's definitely the most iconic.
Well, and that's when you make a movie like that, and it's for any of the Christmas movies that they keep playing them over and over again. And honestly, even Santa Claus has become like that. Those different movies, they keep playing them. Talk about iconic. It's like no one would know who Burl Ives is if he didn't
I
do
do.
a Holly Jolly Christmas. But that's his song.
That's the only thing I know he is.
Well, of
Yep.
course,
It's the
and that's
only
the
thing I
same for
know
most
him
people.
from.
He was in Frosty the Snowman, and he
Yep.
played that sliding snowman with a bad mustache, he was a bad mustache guy. And Burl Ives,
Yeah, he was.
he lives on in infamy,
Which is good, because we need. You and I agree on this. If you ignore history or you forget history, you're bound to repeat it, right? Or whatever
absolutely.
that saying is. I don't say it as eloquently as it's meant to be said, but you
You
get
did
the
very
gist.
well. Little tear came to
Thank
my
you.
eye.
I know. I see that. I mean,
No,
I can see
I'm
that through the blur.
something's in my eye, I think.
Something's yeah. It's springtime in Florida, right?
It is. It is springtime in Florida. So yeah, so you talk about that. It's beautiful outside right now. We're waiting and kind of hoping, frankly, for the rainy season to come around. All of these snowbirds have
Oh,
gone
really?
home, and so they're
Yeah.
not here. So we can actually get in. We had a wonderful dinner last night at a restaurant that we've been wanting to go to, but could never get in because when the population goes, increases by 30%. Just good luck. Traffic's horrible, and you can't get into restaurants or anything. And so now it's kind of backed off a little bit. Traffic's still stupid, and old people, but it's not as bad as it was. And we had a wonderful dinner, and we walked right in to this place, and it was great. So,
well, that's good. That was the interesting thing about being in Breckenridge. We were there during what they call mud season, which is basically spring. Yeah. So it's their downtime, and a lot of the restaurants were closed. A lot of the stores, a lot of everything was closed. But even the stores that were open or the restaurants that were open, it literally was that you just walk in and get served. It's fantastic. I would probably, even though I love snow, and it did snow, we actually had a snowstorm while we were there.
Cool.
I love snow, would live there during the winter, love the summer there because it's so mild and beautiful. But I would say mud season is probably my favorite because no people.
There is some of that, and I think I'm becoming less people-y over the years, and it's not that I love people, but I want it on my terms, not on theirs. So I don't want to.
No, that's a really good point. That's a really good way of thinking about that.
Well, it kind of is, and so in traffic and stuff like that, I can have this good heart for people and patience, and I try to build on that. When I get behind the wheel, that's where I struggle the most because I just have very little time for people that do dumb things on the road. Yes. And because it's a safety thing. And look, I can justify it all I want, but I need to fix that. I need to clean that up and be more patient. And boy, it's taking time. It's
hard to be patient when people are doing things I will say, and Jen and I, this is something that we both struggle with and trying to figure out how to overcome it because it's definitely something that needs to be overcome. And I think you suffer from it too, is just doing the right thing. We always want to do the right thing. We want to follow the rules. Do we always follow them? Of course not. Nobody always follows the rules. You couldn't live a life if you did. But there are certain rules that do need to be followed. And so many other people don't follow them. And that's what really grates on me. It's like just something as simple as how do you merge into traffic on a freeway so you don't cause a slowdown? You go every other car. And the people on the road, they need to give you space to get in. We would have fewer traffic jams if everybody did that. I mean, there's something so simple. Follow the rules. Do it that way. And it's good. It's not breaking the rule in that case is causing problems for everyone, including yourself, because you know what? I'm going to follow the rules and I'm going to pass you doing 79 miles an hour.
Yes. But there is so much of that. And you look at like the left lane drivers, the same type of thing that you get them driving and they just are clueless. And I know I told you about the guy in an old RV doing on a 70 mile an hour speed limit, maybe doing 71 in an RV left lane, and you just don't do that. But it slows everybody down, and then people zip out to the right and try to get around. And my gosh! But it's just most of them are clueless. You get somebody who gets behind them, flashes their lights, and they don't even know. And I wonder what that guy's doing that for? Because it's you. You're in the wrong lane. I thought they taught that.
Some places they do, some places they don't.
I guess.
I was having a conversation with Peyton about driving, and we were talking about just that. It's like, okay, when I went to school, and this was not a class in school. You had to take it outside of school. I had like 40 hours of in classroom training. So in a classroom, I had to sit and do all the driver stuff. Then I had to have behind the wheel lessons, and I think there were 8 of those before I could even get my permit or something. So it was in the classroom. Then you got your permit.
Then you got your
had to take
permit.
the driver's lessons.
Yeah.
Plus a certain amount of hours behind the wheel with your parent.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could go and take a test.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, she got her driver's license in Kentucky. Never had to do any of that. She could have literally just read the book, went in, taken the written test, and then went out and did the driver's
Wow,
test.
no driving at all?
Nope.
Other than for the test. Wow.
Not back when she got her driver's license.
Yeah.
Other than for the test. Yep.
Hmm.
Now, it would be stupid to not drive, but
yeah, well, yeah.
They didn't have nearly the
Well, no, I was just going to say in Kentucky, like in Wisconsin, there are, especially with farms and stuff, these farm kids, and myself included, when I worked on farms, I didn't have a license, and I was driving tractors, and well, of course, I was driving cars too. I had friends who had, hey, can I drive your car? And they go, sure, and it's an old Nova with a 3 in the tree on the column, and I'm 14 years old driving it at night in the rain because they don't. Oh, I hate driving in the rain. Okay, I got you. And I've got a car full of people, and I'm 14.
Someone's drunk.
Yeah. Or that, but that wasn't quite as often. But that was certainly happened, and I wasn't, and so sure, I'll get behind the wheel. But I had a lot of road time before I even got my license.
Yeah, but I know in Wisconsin and Minnesota, they also have farm licenses.
Right.
So you can get a driver's license if you're going to drive within a certain mileage from around the farm or your place of residence. You can get that at 12 years old. I don't know if you still can, but back when I was getting my license, you could.
And I don't know how many of them even get those licenses. I remember my mom telling me that when she's in her 90s, but when she started driving, she was 12 or 13 or 14 or something, and driving herself to school. And the way she passed the driver's test is the cop saw her and said, I've seen you driving every day. Yeah, here's your license. That's kind of how it went back in those days, apparently.
That's a great test.
Yeah, exactly. You got the guy who knows
that.
I can't quite do that anymore, I guess. Yeah. But she's always been a good driver, so that was good.
And to your point, I was driving at my dad's farm when I was 12 and up. I never drove off the farm, but I was driving tractors. I was driving trucks. I was doing all that at the farm.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's weird and it's frustrating. And I just wish, this is not just driving. I know we're kind of harping on that, but it's everything.
Yeah.
You go into the grocery store, just a little common decency. I sent you that meme earlier, and I saw you responded to it. I'm gonna read it because I do think it's something that I do wish. I mean, it's meant to be funny, but I do actually wish for it. And that is not John Quaddy, The Boys.
No, The Boys.
With so many things coming back in style, I can't wait until morals, respect, and intelligence become a trend again. Denzel Washington. I think it's fantastic.
It's all encompassed by courtesy to me, Nick. It's all people being courteous to other people. Instead of, assuming that you are in the right, just ask people and welcome people and encourage people and stuff like that. That's the courteous stuff. And the same goes with traffic and every interaction we have with people, it's surrounded by common courtesy and
courtesy.
It's simple. And in the Bible, it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it's really simple. It's not a difficult thing.
It is. It's 100% simple. And here's the other thing. I'm not going to sit here and throw stones because I know I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, it is our society. I'm sure you're guilty of it as along with me. And here's a perfect example. I was talking to Jennifer yesterday, and she's, with business, it's a struggle. It's still a struggle. All the dance studios in the area are reporting the similar struggles with getting people to take class, to be really engaged because we have a lot of turnover. We'll get 30 people, but then we're going to have 30 other people leave. And it's this continuous cycle. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on because this has never happened, and this is all seems to be since COVID and so on and so, and just that whole change in society. And I said, and she's just really frustrated with people. Why aren't people taking this more seriously? So I used the example of Peyton with horses. I said, you're looking at it as the business owner, but you're not looking at it as a regular person. Using Peyton's horses as the example, we don't necessarily take that super serious. Yes, she goes every week and she does horse riding lessons. But if something comes up with us, like we're going on vacation or we have a festival we want to go to, or we just don't feel like it one day, we're going to call, her name is Grace. We're going to call Grace and say, we're not going to do it today. She's not going to do it today. And we expect Grace to just accept that. But it's money to her. It's just like Jen's dancers. It's the same thing. And she's like, I never thought of it that way. And it's just that mindset. I hate to say it this way. It's the me. Who cares about anyone else mindset? When you are looking at it from a different perspective, it's why is everyone so me? Well, everyone's me. That's what we're living in right now. And I hate it. You're right. I wish there was a way to change it.
You're right. There is some of that. And that's, I mean, and when you say that, I know we're guilty of it too. Look, I'm constantly working on this stuff. We already talked about it. And I think that's healthy. Well, nobody is coming on, certainly not us, coming on and saying, look how good we are because other people are assholes. And that, no, not at all. This is, believe me, we're the same people. And so work at it as a reminder to all of us, if we can all be just a little more courteous. And even if it's one more time of the day, we have a lot of 4-way stops here. And so it's that. What are the rules of the 4-way stop? Whoever gets there first, you have the next. And if you're there at the same time, it's the person to the right, or it's the person who's going straight, or however you do it. Wave people on if you're not sure. It's easy. It's courteous. Right. And most people appreciate it. But look at that. Look for opportunities to do that. And I'm saying it because it helps us, me, not just you.
Exactly. And if you really want to work on being courteous, be courteous enough to head up to PoddiMouths.com and check out all of our past episodes, as well as links to our social networks, and engage with us because, we might take a minute to get back to you, but we will get back to you at some point. And, if you want to be on the podcast, that's the best way to do it, is just to interact with us on social media and ask us questions. But folks, it's been real. It's been fun. Hasn't been real fun. Actually, no, I'm going to say it, John. This is the best episode we've had in 5 years. This is the best episode we've had. Today is. It's incredible. I actually didn't want it to stop, but we're still having some technical issues, so I want to make sure that we are able to use this because it was such a good episode. And folks, if you think it was a good episode, if you're on YouTube, smash the subscribe and the like button. If you're anywhere else, make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff, the stuff that we're supposed to say because we're social media mavens, not mavens, social media influence. We're influencers, John. We're influencing the conversation.
We're not exactly influencers. We're actually under the influencers.
Oh, yeah. So that's true. All right. All right, folks. Well, you have a fantastic week. John, you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week.
You as well. See ya.